On today's show, what if the Dallas Mavericks get the number 2 pick in the NBA draft lottery? Should they keep it? Should they trade it? I'll tell you what they should do on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member at NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, all throughout the offseason, 5 days a week, giving it to you on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We are there for free, and you can help. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know, what would you do with the number 2 pick in the draft? If the Mavericks got it. It's not a ridiculous percentage, so we'll talk about that today. If you want to support the show, text us and get text alerts from us on Mavs rumors throughout the offseason and all kinds of other stuff. Subscribe to our subtext, link in the description below. We'll also do a Friday mailbag on those subtext texts, so send us some texts. We'll answer your questions like we did last Friday. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com. The number 2 pick prodigy, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
What you think about these playoffs right now? We haven't got to talk too much about individual
It's a
series.
shot in the nuts is what it is.
Somebody just texted me right before we hit record, and they said the playoffs are drunk still. And I'm just like, I don't know who you're like really confident in right now.
That's what we were just talking about before, and I was like, I don't believe in any of these top teams, really. It looks like the Nuggets Suns should be a pretty good second round series, but we're recording during both those games, so I'm not sure if they have moved on yet. So yeah.
Does it piss you off more that the Mavs didn't get their crap together?
Yeah, like
the
early,
fact that
yeah,
it's
like
wide open.
Yeah, it definitely did. It definitely does. Seeing the Lakers, just seeing what the Lakers are doing right now, going up against the Grizzlies and saying that could totally be the Mavericks right now if they had, if X, Y, and Z had changed. Like if so, there's a bunch of different reasons why they didn't make it. Obviously, we've talked about them forever, but yeah, like seeing how wide open it is, being like, man, if Luka and Kyrie, but you have to be able to defend. Like all these teams, we went over centers yesterday, and like how many teams have to have centers that can defend. All these teams that are winning games, like that shouldn't be necessarily. You're looking at the, like not even shouldn't be, but are maybe surprising. Hawks winning a couple of games. Heat winning some games. You have the, Timberwolves winning. Like you have a center that can defend really well. Like, and the Mavericks just didn't have that in the slightest. They had other things, but they weren't going to just out 3-point shoot some of these teams for like an upset.
We did have breaking Mavs news yesterday. Kyrie Irving follows the Mavs on Instagram. Just want to make sure that we all understand that that's big news.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets. Lowest prices guaranteed. Today, we're going to talk about a big what if. Speaking of Kyrie Irving, Kyrie Irving today also tweeted about how his Brooklyn team should have beat the Bucks a couple years ago when the Bucks won the title. And
he's not wrong.
And he's not wrong about it. But then
he's saying they would have won if he didn't get hurt.
Correct. And now people talking about, if Giannis didn't get hurt this year, then they could have had a title, blah, 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 and all that. But then somebody said, there's no if in basketball, little bro. Enjoy Cancun. And then Kyrie responded to that person, tell that to every sports media show built off of what if scenarios and debates. That's us today.
Hello.
We had already planned to do this. Every Wednesday, we're doing our What If Wednesday. Today is what if the Mavericks get the second pick in the draft. It's possible. We talked about Victor Wembanyama and the number 1 pick last week. So if you want to hear that episode, go check out that. But the Mavs have a 3.3% chance to get the number 2 pick. It's not completely out of the question, but it's pretty unlikely. We'll talk about what if they should do if they keep it. Isaac's got some trade packages we can talk about and see if the Mavericks should package it. But let's start here. If you get the number 2 pick and Nico Harrison looks around and goes, I think this is already kind of imploded a little bit, and I want some like provisions, or I want something to build on. I think I can build on the Jaden Hardy, Josh Green, Luka. Maybe if we take Kyrie and do something else, or if he leaves or whatever. And I want to just build on something like this and just start over. Maybe they decide to do that. Are you taking Scoot Henderson, or are you taking Brandon Miller?
It's tough because on paper, Brandon Miller's the right pick, for Dallas. I think there's a little bit of it depends on Kyrie, which hopefully by draft time, you know what Kyrie's going to do, if not already. But
we said that about Brunson, though. I'm not taking anything for granted.
I said hopefully.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That you think that what we said. You said hopefully they would know what Kyrie's going to do. I'm not taking any of that for granted at this point. I don't know what the Mavs know or what they think they know.
I think the Mavs had a pretty good idea what Brunson was going to be doing come free agency. They probably
not the way they acted. Not the way they acted. Not the way Mark Cuban came out and said we can pay him more money than anybody, so he'll be back. Like, come on.
I think they knew then, but. I'm
doing my giant doubt face at Isaac. I think they're trying to cover themselves on that one.
Here's the deal. I think Scoot Henderson is the better overall prospect moving forward. I think he has star potential. I think he is, the next iteration of a Derrick Rose, Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook, just those explosive guards that you can't look at his 3-point percentage either and say, oh, he can't shoot. It's way more than that. And I think he can be better on defense than a lot of those guys. And he's thick. He's not just you can also look at his size and say, oh, 6'2", he's super small. Dude he's built. So it's like, he's not just a little skinny, Trae Young or a Steph Curry coming out Davidson like that.
I mean, Ja's really small and he's still.
Yeah. So it's tough if Dallas kept the pick. And they know that Kyrie Irving is signing a long-term deal. I think I would take Brandon Miller.
I don't know. I can't. It'd be hard for me to try and figure out how you fit and how you figure out a Scoot Henderson with a Luka Doncic. And this is sort of the issue where the Mavericks are. Like, if
Kyrie's gone, I'm taking Scoot hands down.
You are?
Yes, I think Scoot is that type of fun star player.
You just take the talent, and you think that Scoot's talent is way better than Brandon Miller's, and you just leave it at that.
Yes, but they're close enough for me to where I think you can take. And once again, I could be just brutally wrong on this. I think they're close enough to me to where you could draft for need instead of like better overall player. If you have a Luka Doncic and all, I think Brandon Miller can step in day one and start on the wing.
Yeah.
6'9" guy. I mean, the comps are however you feel about comps, but Gen Z Paul George, let's do all Gen Z. But man, I mean, there's really not a lot on offense that he can't do. He can score on all three levels, and he has like a 7-foot wingspan. There's obviously the off the court stuff that has been well chronicled and all of that. The situation at Alabama, but I think he is good. I think he's clear cut the number 3, like over the Thompson twins and all of that. It's Brandon Miller, Scoot. But I think if they have Kyrie locked in, I would lean Brandon Miller. If Kyrie's going elsewhere and they know it on draft night, I would go ahead and take Scoot Henderson if they're keeping the pick and say, hey, we're going to pair Scoot and Luka together.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And because you got a guard that struggled to shoot, maybe you don't believe the 3-point numbers or the shooting numbers. I'm looking at NBA Big Board, and Rafael Barlow pointed out a couple of stats. Shooting off the catch, 33% from the field, 31% on open catch and shoot jumpers. Like, just not a good look early.
I think some of those numbers too with G League. I mean, we saw Jaden Hardy, some of his numbers in G League, and it's like, some of the shot selection stuff is so weird when it comes to Ignite and all of that. And, Jaden Hardy showed that he was a pretty dang good shooter. I'm not saying he's the exact same, but like if this wasn't Wemby's draft, Scoot would be number 1. And I don't really think it would be close right now.
Yeah, interesting. So you just go with the talent at that point. I think I agree with you. Just go with the talent, and then you try and figure it out later. Although he doesn't really fix any of their issues or anything. He boosts talent. But coming up, let's talk about what if the Mavericks trade it? Could they trade down? Could they get a win now player? Let's talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about the Ultimate Pro Basketball game, GM game. It is a great game. It's the coolest game I've played in a long time. And you start with nothing on your team. You build up your team. You build up your You build up your draft picks like we're talking about today. You build up your free agents, all that kind of stuff, your coaches. You do all that, and then you can win a championship or multiple championships. It's the way to go. It's a great game. Go check it out. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. It's fun to just sit if you're hanging out. You want something to just do while you're sitting in the car or sitting in your commute or whatever. Check out. Listeners get 100% free boost to their franchise using the promo Locked On in the game store. Make sure to check it out. To download the game, visit probasketballgm.com. Scan the code or look it up in the app stores. That's probasketballgm.com. The ultimate Pro Basketball GM game. Start your dynasty today.
Nick, I went to the grocery today, and it never fails. I spend more money than what I intend to at the grocery.
Always.
I see one box of cereal. I'm like, oh, dang, I haven't had this box of cereal for a long time. I had that as a kid. I got to buy it again. Groceries, school supplies, inflation just continues to make everything just miserable. But it doesn't matter. We're always throwing money at something, whether it's school supplies, like I just said, a new house project. Hey, I'm always down for a new house project. This is where Ibotta comes into play. It gives you real cash back, not points. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, but with Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can cash out to your bank account. That sounds amazing. PayPal or gift cards. You can earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start with Ibotta. That's Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy. My wife loves Sephora. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED. When you register, go to App Store, Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, and use code LOCKED. That's LOCKED. That's Ibotta, Ibotta in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED.
All right, Isaac Harris, thanks everybody for supporting the show, listening to the show daily, being an everydayer, joining the Raccoon Squad, however you want to call it. We appreciate you guys. Subscribe to our subtext. We'll do a subtext mailbag on Friday, so submit your questions. We'll talk about and answer all your questions about the offseason, the Mavs, and all that kind of stuff. So click the link in the description below to subscribe to our subtext. All right, Isaac Harris, we talked about what if the Mavericks keep it. You think they should just go with Scoot Henderson as the top talent there, unless
they kept the pick.
If they keep the pick. Now, what if they trade the pick?
Ooh. Oh man, I love doing fake trades. All right, so I tried to think. So we did some ones if they landed at 1 with Wemby, and they're probably not going to do any of those. So I didn't want to be lazy and just bring the same trades back and be like, all right, same exact trades we talked about before. So let's talk about some new trades. So what if you look at Washington? Washington's sitting there at 8. They just fired their GM, Tommy Shepard. They don't really have any young prospect that's like their cornerstone moving forward. They're in this really weird spot of, are they really going to form a long-term big three of KP, Kuzma, and Brad Beal? What if the GM comes in, new GM comes in and says, listen, we're done with this. We're done being mediocre. We got to get an A+ guy. So that's what I looked at. I looked across teams across the league and said, who would try to trade up to get Scoot Henderson to be their next, to be their guy? So what if Washington called and said, Brad Beal and 8?
Well, they don't have 8 because the Mavs moved up. So they at best have 9, right?
Yes. There you go. Brad Beal and 9. 4.
For number 2, just straight up, or you got to give salary.
Gotta do money.
You got to do a lot of.
So
salary.
then it's all the money from Dallas. It's Scoot, Tim Hardaway, Bertans, and JaVale.
The Brad Beal contract is brutal. It's 46, almost 47 million next year, 50 million the year after that, 53, almost 54 million the year after that, 57 million player option. That Bradley Beal is getting 57. I mean,
insane.
That is wild.
But look at the contracts you're getting. I'm not saying I would for sure do it because you're moving back 7 spots and swapping out those 3 contracts that you're not a fan of for Brad Beal.
And you're still getting a good prospect. They could reach for Taylor Hendricks that a lot of people have talked about. Jarris Walker has been a player people have talked about. I don't think I'm doing it for Brad Beal, especially if they're keeping Kyrie, like Luka, Kyrie, and Brad Beal. It fixes none of your issues.
Well,
Which issue does it fix?
It just adds another like star player to it, which you're not in the camp of adding a third star player, which I get.
No,
you want to fill the holes.
Not especially not if the star player is just another shooting guy. I do want to fill the holes. All the holes.
It's a nice penetrating thrust to the middle of the.
All right.
Thank you, Harp.
Okay, I got another one for you. San Antonio.
You didn't even give me Gafford or Kuzma or like.
No. What if San Antonio lands at 3?
Yeah.
And they just call you up and say, "Hey, we really want Scoot. We'll give you Keldon Johnson in 3 to move up 1 spot."
Oh yeah, I'm doing that. I'm taking Brandon Miller, and I'm happy with it.
I think I would too. And you're coming out of the draft with Keldon Johnson and Brandon Miller, 2 big wings.
2 big wings, yeah.
That
athletic
would fit alongside Luka and Kyrie really well. That would be awesome.
That would help your rebounding a lot. Those big wings. I'm watching. If you get a center, then have those 2 big wings. That helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I got another one for you. Where's Toronto sitting at the lottery right now? 13? 12?
They are 13th.
Really doesn't matter to anything what I'm about to say, but I was just wondering, what if they called up and said, "Hey, number 2 for OG"?
Wow, just straight up.
Straight up.
Can they take Davis's contract with it too for the salary?
I mean, yeah, you got to have the salary thing, but like, yes, we've heard that they turned down 3 first-round picks for OG, but those 3 first-round picks, they're not Scoot Henderson. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that's
what
not
if Toronto
the.
says, "Hey, we're going to lose Fred VanVleet, whoever. Like, let's get our next star young guy in here that can pair with Scotty Barnes. We'll trade you OG straight up for 2, OG for Bertans and 2."
I think I'm doing that.
That's tough.
OG signed for a couple more years. Elite defensive player. They need an elite defensive player so badly. Look at all the playoff teams that are doing well right now. They all have at least one elite defensive player or multiple. I mean, you have to have it. For just one player, though, that's crazy. Especially for a player that when did OG get drafted? He was like the 25th pick or something, right? Like, isn't that crazy to think about a couple years later, like that I would consider?
Is it bad that I would ask for like a future first with him?
No. I think you're right. I think you're right to do that. And I think an NBA team would do that. I love OG, and I think that the Mavericks are in such a desperate need to add. Mm-hmm. Well, could they get Pirtle? Is it possible? I don't know if it's possible with a sign and trade.
Touché.
Can they get Pirtle and OG? Because then all of a sudden that fixes both your holes at the same time.
That would be awesome. Okay, I
don't think you can sign and trade and add another player in the aggregate. So they would have to.
Okay, before I get into my like crazy ones,
would be before free agency. So.
We'll save my crazy ones for the third segment.
Ooh,
this is the only one I brought back from the Wemby pod. Is if Orlando called and said, "Hey, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter, 6 and 11 for Scoot Henderson, Tim Hardaway, and Davis Bertans."
Fultz, Carter, those are the only players in it?
Yep. Fultz, Wendell Carter, 6 and 11.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a steal.
But the only reason why it's not a steal is that you're looking at it and saying, in 2 years, maybe even year 1, Scoot's the better player than everybody there.
Yeah.
So you are kind of making that decision of Markelle would play, I think, as the third guy next to Kyrie and Luka would be great. Wendell, great. And then you get
starting center day one.
Yeah, you get 2 other swings at it, adding 2 other guys to the rotation.
You could pick Lively. You could pick Derek Lively if you want to, and then you added 2 centers, which would be huge.
Yeah, or you use it as trade bait and go after something, somebody else on draft night too. But
then maybe you combine those 2 and your future first, go get OG, and then boom. Did we just fix the roster?
OG, Markelle Fultz, and Wendell Carter.
Wendell Carter
on the Mavs next year. You heard it here first.
We fixed the Mavs. All they got to do is get number 2 in the draft lottery.
But after the break, I have a couple crazy trades, and then I'm saving my brain, break your brain one for at the end of the pod.
Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about the Game Time app. The Game Time app will help you this summer Go to concerts, go to games, go to events, theater, any kind of stuff that you want to go to. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, comedy, all that kind of stuff. Just watch John Mulaney's Baby J. I will, if he comes through again. I went last year, and I would definitely come through and watch him again. If he comes through Dallas again this year. Flash deals and last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of seat views, got to have it. Have to have it, especially for a sporting event or a theater performance that you've never been to before, at a venue you've never been to before. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and apply. Again, create an account, redeem your code LOCKEDONNBA. That's all one word, all caps, LOCKEDONNBA. For $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
At some point this year, I want to get a new car. And I've been kind of intrigued by electric cars. They scare me a little bit, but I am intrigued. And if I do entertain an electric car, it's got to be the Nissan Ariya. And with Nissan and our ad read, we have the Nissan's most electric player of the week. And I'm gonna go off the map here and say,
let's go.
Bryce Young, probably going to be the number one overall pick
in the NFL?
in the NFL draft. I mean, the Mavs ain't playing, so we're just going player of the week here. NFL draft coming up on Thursday.
Off the board, off the sport. He
really off the whole sport.
Like left the genre is what you just did.
I did. That's our Nissan most electric player of the week. All electric 2003 Nissan Ariya. Let's go. The 2023, your reaction to it threw me all off.
Dads,
the 2023 Nissan Ariya packs pinned to your seat power and premium intelligence all-in-one EV. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Ariya. The EV for people who love to drive. Shop now at nissanusa.com.
All right, Isaac.
Oh, that was great.
Isaac he just made me lose it in the ad read. All right, Isaac.
Character.
Isaac lost the plot a little bit there. All right, Isaac, you're going through trade packages. What if the Dallas Mavericks get the number 2 pick in the draft? Give me another one.
All right. Trae Young just hit a big shot last night against Boston.
Saved their season.
Yeah, Boston keeps on playing with their meat, and they just can't put.
It's a nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
They can't put Atlanta away for some reason. But you know, the Trae Young rumors could be flying around this summer. So let's look at a couple 3-way deals. No,
okay.
I'm not saying.
Okay, I was like, oh my, he's going there. I was like, wow, I did not expect this.
For the sake of not listing off a million names,
okay,
could there be something along the lines of Trae Young to Brooklyn, Scoot Henderson to Atlanta, Mikal Bridges to Dallas?
Ooh, that's interesting. Think Brooklyn's getting a lot of stuff in that. And I think the Dallas Mavericks would have to give up some extra stuff.
Really?
Mikal Bridges, the Brooklyn Nets were offered 4 first-round picks by the Memphis Grizzlies at the trade deadline to get Mikal Bridges, and they turned it down.
Yeah, no, I get that. It kind of goes into the OG stuff, though. It's like, yeah, they were offered 3 and they turned it down, but it's not, you know.
But what's Trae Young's value? Is it 2?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if they're looking at it saying, like, hey, Trae's a former All-Star, like Trae, if they view Trae as like a top guy in the league that they can build around.
You don't have to say it like that.
I just don't. I don't think
if they view him as,
okay, let's just who would you rather have for the next 10 years, Trae Young or Mikal Bridges?
Mikal Bridges is 27, by the way. He's older.
Give me Mikal Bridges
than Trae Young. I would take Mikal Bridges though.
I don't know if I would go as far as Derek White, but I saw that the other day and I was laughing.
Yeah, all of a sudden when people turn on a star player, and it'll happen for Luka, and it may be happening right now in certain spaces, all of a sudden the trades become ridiculous. I would rather have
Keldon Johnson. I mean, come on.
He can defend.
Alonzo Trier.
Been there.
No, we've already had that. So
talk soon.
You think Dallas would have to add stuff to it to make that happen?
100%. Yep.
To make Scoot for
Atlanta probably has to add a little bit, and Dallas adds a little bit to that. That's how I think that comes out.
Okay. Anthony Davis to the Mavs. Trae Young to the Lakers, Scoot to the Hawks.
Trae Young's not going to the Lakers. I don't care. It's not. I don't think it's
Really?
I don't think that would happen.
You're clutch.
That's
If
why.
you're with
That's why
Clutch
it won't
and-
happen. You keep your friends close and your enemies closer. That just doesn't work with LeBron. I don't think you can't. They know, they've seen it. You can't win a title with him.
Okay, with LeBron.
But just for the sake of the hypothetical,
the odds aren't in your favor if LeBron's leading your finals team. So
Lakers get Trae Young. Mavericks get Anthony Davis. Man,
there'd be some things. I'm just giving some framework.
Yeah, right. And the number 2 goes to Atlanta then.
Yeah.
I think I would do that. For as inconsistent as Anthony Davis has been, he still rebounds, blocks shots, fixes all of their problems. Fixes all the Mavs problems, basically.
A Luka, Anthony Davis, Kyrie pairing would be.
That's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of things. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of problems.
You have to hire a new trainer.
Yeah, there'd be a training staff, a new Dr. Sharon Fieldstone would have to be brought in. You have to bring in a bunch.
Okay, this is my last big one before I give you my brain breaker one. This one has a lot of names to it, and I do have to list them or else it won't make sense. But this is a 3-way between Dallas, Atlanta, and Minnesota.
Okay.
All right. Scoot Henderson, Tim Hardaway Jr., and John Collins to Minnesota.
Minnesota kind of starting over a little bit.
They're pairing Scoot Henderson with Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
John Collins next to Rudy Gobert.
That is an insanely athletic backcourt.
Yeah. Atlanta gets Karl Anthony Towns, Bertans, and JaVale. Dallas gets DeAndre Hunter, Okongwu, Sadiq Bey, Kyle Anderson, and pick 15.
Wow. You're just getting a bunch of role-playing dudes and then the 15th pick.
Yeah.
Name the 4 players the Mavs are getting again.
Dallas would get DeAndre Hunter, Okongwu, Sadiq Bey, Kyle Anderson, and 15.
I'm not sure why the Hawks are doing this.
To pair Karl Anthony Towns with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray.
And you're giving up a Okongwu to do it. You're giving up Hunter.
Yeah.
Okongwu and Hunter on the Mavs would be awesome.
They would still have AJ Griffin and Bogdanovich and Capella to trade.
Yeah, you still got shooters, and
they would form a big 3 of those 3 with pieces around them still.
I mean, one of them is one of them is a self-proclaimed best big man shooter of all time that currently has 1 30-point playoff performance, by the way.
How annoying would a Towns Trae Young do OB?
They deserve each other.
If you're Dallas, am I crazy? God, I probably am crazy for saying this. Am I crazy for wanting those 4 guys over Cat?
No, Mavs. I mean, that's my whole point about the Mavs need multiple role players and not just one $50 million salary that Cat is going to be in 2 years.
Like DeAndre Hunter being one, I love DeAndre Hunter. So he becomes your big defending big forward.
Great. Yeah.
And then you get Sadiq Bey and Kyle Anderson. So 3 other, or 2 other Kyle
Anderson would be great.
Solid wings. Then you get a Okongwu.
If the Mavs get Kyle Anderson, we have to bring him on, and we have to talk. We have to talk about the nemesis moment. And does he know that we've called him?
Kyle, you tweeted at me back
5 years ago.
Can I read you the tweet you tweeted at me?
Okongwu is the perfect center. I mean, we kind of talked about him in a little bit. I glossed over him because they're not going to. I don't think they're going to trade him. He's a building block piece for them, but the perfect, exactly what the Mavericks would need in a center.
Yeah,
and then you still fit their defense so well. Too. Yeah, and you keep that 15th. So maybe you pick Lively anyway, and then you get 2 centers.
Yeah. So, all right, my last one for you.
We're
at the very end.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. If the Mavs land at 2.
Oh, he just hid.
They trade Luka for the first pick and take Scoot. And they walk out.
Wow!
They walk out of the draft with Wemby and Scoot.
Wow. Flabbergasted. Completely.
I wouldn't do it, guys. I would not do it. I want to be on record.
Let the record show April 25th or 26th, whenever this posts. 2023 year of our Dirk. That's the first time we've ever suggested a Luka fake trade in any sense.
I would not.
You did it. You went there. That's the first. We have not. We no longer have our Luka fake trade virginity card.
I'm just saying. Would there be a Mavs fan that would entertain the idea?
Several
of walking.
They all live in Slovenia and want him to not be on the Mavs anymore.
Yeah, like of walking out of the draft, resetting again with Wemby and Scoot as your the duo cornerstone moving forward.
Do you get future picks with that?
For a Luka Wemby swap?
Yeah.
Probably, right?
You should. Yeah, you should.
That's why you don't do it, because Wemby's not a guaranteed. Like you don't
he's
even
he's as close as there is, and he's still not Luka.
You still keep like there's no trade you're entertaining for Luka Doncic right now.
I'm not doing that. No.
That's why I was like throwing it out. It's like, hey, I'm gonna break your brand at the end, and I guarantee you though there's some Mavs fans that would do it.
Did break my brain.
There's probably somebody in the comments right now saying, "Oh, I would do that right now. I'd rather have Wemby and Scoot."
Many people. Wow. I was gonna do a whole thing about should the Mavericks learn from the Warriors with the James Wiseman, Kuminga picks and all that kind of stuff, and should they just if they get one of these top picks, but we can do it the next one. We'll do it next Wednesday when we do number 3. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Let us know in the comment section, what would you do with the number 2 pick if the Mavericks got it? Would you trade it? Would you draft it? All that kind of stuff. Come back on Friday. We'll do a mailbag of our subtext mailbag questions. So send in some questions. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.